good health, and well-being. She holds a doctoral degree in peace and development studies with specialization in food and nutrition security. Her scope of work also extends to other security initiatives along the United Nations. Dr. Bumi, thank you for joining us. You're welcome. You can dive into it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Lara Akerele. I want to say a big thank you for bringing me on board today to discuss a very important topic that I believe is needed by all. So I'll be sharing my screen to start the conversation. I want to also welcome everybody that is connected at the moment to this Zoom meeting. Okay, so once again, I welcome everyone connected to us, and I'm hoping that every one of us will have a good time of enlightenment on the topic that we are considering today. That is spotting food and nutrition security barriers, identifying and tackling overnutrition and undernutrition. So my main focus today is to discuss how we can identify and how we can address overnutrition and undernutrition. The subject of food is something that nobody can do without. Every professional in the world, everybody has a human body that is only sustained by food. And one of the aims of this discussion today is to draw our attention to that place of debunking the overall perspective on food security. You know, one of the goals on the United Nations Sustainable Development Agenda for a while now, that's since 2015. There's an agenda for 2015 to 2030, and first on the list of 17 goals is a need for poverty eradication, and next to that is a need to achieve food security for all. So food security has a terminology or has a concept, is something that is very important, that for it to feature as the second out of 17 goals, you know, I believe that that is very core, is a core human need. But like I said, my aim today is to call our attention to some people feel very comfortable once they can put food on their table and you can eat sweet food and you feel good that, wow, this food is sweet. But to achieve food security goes beyond just being able to put food on your table. So no one should really feel have a sense of security where it does not exist. Because in real sense, I believe some of the information that we supply today will open up our consciousness to certain areas of our food security. Let me still retain that statement, even though shortly I'm going to define what that means. You know, one key area is the need to understand what we actually mean by what we actually mean when we use the term food security, what it means for somebody to be food secure. So before I go further, let me define for us what food security is all about. Food and Agriculture Organization defined food security as a state that exists when all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food to meet their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. So if we look at this definition, then we will know that so many things are put into it. And food security as a concept, can be summarized through its 4 key elements. So we have 4 key elements in food security that we call availability of food. It means before you can say there's food security, that there has to be availability of food. But you cannot say there is food security when there is only availability of food. The 4 elements must be present before you can say that there is food security at the individual level, household level, regional level, national level, international level. So second to availability is there has to be access to food. And access to food is not only physical access. There has to be economic access to food. There has to be social access to food. Then next to that is food utilization. How food is utilized will determine if there is food security or not. So under that, we have safety, food safety. Then that's where nutrition comes in. Then food preparation, among others. Then lastly, we have stability. There has to be stability of food systems before we can say that food security exists in a place. And that has to do with the ability of the food systems to withstand shocks, both man-made and natural disasters. On the other hand, even though like it was placed on the previous slide, food and nutrition security are interrelated. But however, to stress what we are talking about today, which has to do more with nutrition, I would like to also show us the definition that was given by the United States Department of Agriculture. So United States Department of Agriculture defines nutrition security as consistent and equitable access to healthy, safe, and affordable foods. Consistent and equitable. Equitable means equal access. If we think about all these things and we try to elaborate them further, one can easily conclude and say there's no food security anywhere. Because if food security only exists when all those elements are present, then sometimes you may just find one element or two present. But let's go back to the definition for nutrition security. It is consistent and equitable access to healthy, safe, and affordable foods, which are essential for optimal health and well-being. Now, generally, a second, please. I need to. Generally, there are several issues globally. There are several issues. Current statistics on the level of food security is alarming. So let's look at this slide now. If you look at this circle that is drawn around, this area of the graph, you will see from the notes that are attached, you will see that, it was said that 1 out of 11 people in the world is still hungry. 1 out of 11 people in the world is still hungry. And between 713 and 757 million people may have faced hunger in 2023 alone. That is what this, graph here is showing us. So there are still a lot of issues about food security being attained in the world. Nutrition security is more demanding. And I'm still going to show us the statistics of people that are undernourished in the world. For instance, let's look at this slide. The prevalence of moderate or severe food insecurity has remained unchanged for the last 3 years globally. In 2023, an estimated 2.33 billion Please help us to move. Thank you so much. The prevalence of moderate or severe food insecurity has remained unchanged for the last 3 years globally. Globally, not just in Africa or North America, everywhere, or Asia, globally. In 2023 alone, an estimated 2.33 billion, not million, 2.33 billion people were moderately or severely, the two categories put together, moderately or severely food insecure. And this statistics is from FAO, IFAD, UNICEF, WFP, WHO. Then let's look at statistics on economic access to food. Statistics on economic access to nutritious food show that more than 1/3 of global population is around 8.2 billion. More than 1/3 of global population lack economic access to nutritious food. So all these figures are very alarming. All these things is to let us know that issues that surround food security and nutrition security are issues that we must pay attention to, both on the individual level, household level, regional level, national level, international level. It affects us all. Before we go further, it's also important for us to understand what a nutritious diet is, because now I'm trying to narrow down on why we are gathered on for this meeting today. So let's look at what a nutritious diet is. A nutritious or healthy diet is described as a diverse array. Diverse. I want us to take note of that word. Diverse array of fruits and vegetables. Diverse. Not just some. Diverse array of fruits and vegetables. Whole grains. Whole. Much of what people consume today are not whole. They are not whole at all. The bran removed. So many good and healthy parts of the grain. For instance, let's say wheat has been taken off. So a nutritious or healthy diet is described as a diverse array of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean and plant-based proteins, and items that are lower in saturated fats, added sugars, and sodium, which are linked with the reduction of people's risk for diseases. So that's the definition for a nutritious diet. So when an individual is thinking that, me, I don't have any problem, I'm fine, by God's grace, I'm fine, then you should be asking yourself, one of the things that I would like to call our attention to today is have knowledge of what you eat. It's not just about eating something, because we are what we eat. We are what we eat. And nutritious food is not just about, in that definition we saw, I didn't see anything that has to do with appealing to the way we feel about food. So food is not about how we feel or how it tastes. Naturally, we will see that in nature we have foods that are bitter, we have foods that are sweet, we have food that are sour in taste. But today we have a large population, particularly among young people, that their tongue is only sweet tongue. They don't know anything. They can't take lemon. They can't take grape. They can't take anything that has a sour taste. Talk less of what has bitter taste. But there's a reason why all those things are in nature. So it's not just about eating. The question should be, what is the content of what I am eating or what I am serving my household? Because like I said, we are what we eat. And when we eat, every time we eat and every day we eat, it's like we are sowing a seed. We are sowing a seed. There's a time the harvest comes. That time of harvest is when the body begins to, on the long run, maybe after some years, some young people believe today that they can eat anything. I don't have problem with sugar. I don't have problem with this. My body can break it down. But when they begin to get to certain ages, let's say 35 and above, the body begins to give certain alarms, which is product of several seed sowing that they have done in their eating. So I'm just trying to say that we are faced with a very crucial matter, because it has to do with matter of life. It has to do with matter of life. It has to do with matter of securing the future. So when we are talking about food and nutrition security, we are not just talking about securing just an aspect of my household. We are not just talking about securing your food stock. We are talking about securing life. We are talking about securing the future. So now, let's begin to touch on the main reason why we are here today. That's to determine overnutrition and undernutrition, to identify them, how they exist, and then to be able to address them. So overnutrition and undernutrition are two fundamental features of malnutrition. The word malnutrition, it's also possible for somebody to have a mindset or an assumption of malnutrition means, those who are undernourished. But the meaning of malnutrition is both overnutrition and undernutrition. And we are still going to be looking at overnutrition closely and undernutrition closely. So part of the things are we still connected, please?
Yeah, we're good now. Thank you.
Okay. Just few seconds, please. Are we good? Let this come.
We're good.
Okay, so one of the things that I want to also add to our take home today is that when we talk about malnutrition, malnutrition does not just refer to people that are undernourished. Now, when you think about malnutrition, you're like, oh, maybe those who are suffering from kwashiorkor and all that. You may not be suffering from undernutrition, and you may not know. But you may not be suffering from undernutrition and be suffering from overnutrition. And if you are suffering from overnutrition, then that means you are also suffering from malnutrition. So malnutrition encompasses both overnutrition and undernutrition. Let's look at this short definition for malnutrition in this slide. The second statement on the slide: malnutrition refers to deficiencies, excesses, or imbalances in a person's intake of nutrients. So that's the definition for malnutrition. Deficiencies. So malnutrition is not just about deficiencies, nutrient deficiencies, but it also refers to excess intake or imbalances in a person's intake of nutrients. And if you also look at, that's like the third paragraph on this slide, malnutrition is an imbalance between the nutrients your body needs and what it gets. It can result from a single lack of a micronutrient, a single lack. It can result from a single lack of a micronutrient or an overall lack of calories, protein, vitamin, or minerals. So it may not be overall lack. It can be a single lack. It can be a single lack. Let's go to the next slide. In recent times, there has been an increasing concern about what is called the double burden of malnutrition. The double burden of malnutrition. That is, while stakeholders everywhere are trying to solve the problem of undernutrition, then they began to see that the rates of overnutrition is also coming up. Overweight, obesity, several others that are related to overnutrition. So they came up with this phrase, the double burden of malnutrition. And I believe that no matter what is done on national level or global level, individuals must also take part in it. Individuals must come into, a good level of awareness. A good level of awareness. Like I said the other time, that we are not doing anybody good, actually. We are doing ourselves good. Acquiring adequate knowledge on our nutrition and acquiring adequate knowledge on how food security can be attained, we are doing our... Sorry, please, can you help us move? Thank you so much. But let's go further. If you see the last paragraph on this slide, some factors have contributed to the double burden of malnutrition, such as little or no knowledge of nutrition, want of access to variety of foods, then sedentary lifestyles, sedentary lifestyles, then poor economic status. Now let's look at overnutrition on a close range. Sorry, not overnutrition, undernutrition on a close range. Undernutrition or undernourishment is a situation that occurs when an individual's habitual food consumption is insufficient to provide the amount of dietary energy required to maintain a normal, active, and healthy life. Like I have explained before, when the intake of glucose modes, thank you so much. So undernutrition deals more with deficiency in nutrient intake. But there are still a few other things I want to call our attention to. Let's look at the last paragraph on this slide. Current projection shows that 582 million people may be chronically undernourished by the end of the decade. So the number is growing. The number is growing, and something has to be done. These are visible forms of undernutrition. Undernutrition can occur and it may not be visible, but these are visible forms. For instance, in children, we have stunting. These two kids are of the same age. One is short, one is tall. So stunting is low height for age. Then we have what is called wasting. And these things don't only affect children. There are so many adults today that's the way they are framed, but the thing started from when they were in their childhood. And it's more difficult to correct as adults than it is when the person is still a child. So wasting has to do with low weight for height. The person is tall, the child is tall, but the weight is less than the normal range for that age. Then we have underweight. So these are visible forms of undernutrition, but these are not the only ways we know undernutrition, because an adult may say now that I'm not a child now. You know, I look good, I don't look bad. But let's continue as we look further into what undernutrition is. My intention is to make us to identify it where it exists, and then to know how we can. Please, can you help us move? Please help us. Thank you so much. So my intention is for us to identify undernutrition where it exists in our households, or for people that are not married yet, you know, identify it and then to be able to address it. There are two common types of undernutrition. We have macronutrient undernutrition. We have macronutrient undernutrition, and then we have micronutrient undernutrition. The word macro means big, you know, and the word micro means small. So we have some nutrients that are, you know, visible, big, like proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Then we have nutrients that are micro, you know, they are micro, then in form of vitamins and minerals. So somebody may not be suffering from macronutrient undernutrition, may have adequate access to protein, is feeding well on carbohydrate, fat, but may be lacking certain essential vitamins and nutrients. Let's look at some of the signs of undernutrition. Weight loss, muscle fat depletion, swelling, delayed development, fatigue, skin problems, loss of hair color, brittle hair and hair loss, slow healing, memory loss, recurring infections, low body temperature. Please help us mute. Thank you. Low blood pressure and heart rates. So these are some signs and symptoms of undernutrition. Then factors that contribute to undernutrition include inadequate calorie intake, restrictive eating, food allergies. I don't like this. And most children do that. So parents you must be able to let your children know that it's not about what you like, it is about what you need. Then vegan diet without proper planning. Vegan diet without proper planning. Some people just say, no, I don't want to take this again, I don't want to take that again. So whatever diet we are going for has to be with proper guidance from nutritionists, medical practitioners, dietitians, as the case may be. Then we have poor diet quality, factors that promote undernutrition. Poor diet quality, lack of essential nutrients in the foods that are being taken, eating disorders, low income, inadequate water intake. So inadequate water intake can also lead to undernutrition. Environmental barriers. We have what is called 7 nutrition indicators that United Nations and UNICEF, WHO, and many other think tanks, use to determine the level of nutrition in the world. So here we have stunting, we have wasting, we have exclusive breastfeeding, we have low birth weight, we have overweight, we have anemia, we have obesity. So current statistics on them, stunting currently affects 148.1 million children. Wasting affects 45 million among children under 5 years of age. Then exclusive breastfeeding at the moment is at 31.3 million among infants under 6 months of age. That's as at 2022. Low birth weight was at 19.8 million in 2020. That's the last recorded data. Childhood overweight was at 37 million in 2022, and adult overweight was at 1.9 billion. While underweight for adults was at 462 million. Anemia was at 571 million in 2019, among women aged 15 to 49 years, higher than the previous record. Anemia is lack of, that's a micronutrient undernutrition, lack of iron supplements, or lack of adequate intake of iron supplement. Then lastly, obesity was at a rising rate of 881 million in 2022. All this shows us the level of attention that has been placed on nutrition globally. And it's also calling our attention to the place of engaging, whatever knowledge is coming to us at this time adequately, so that we can have positive improvements to all these statistics. Okay, let's go to the next slide. I already talked on undernutrition. Undernutrition, I said that undernutrition could either be macronutrient undernutrition. That means where carbohydrate, protein, fats intake are deficient. And that undernutrition can also take the form of micronutrients undernutrition, where vitamins and mineral supplements are inadequate. I don't just want to use the word supplements, intake, because some people believe that the only way they can get vitamins and minerals is by living on multivitamins, supplements. But the best way to derive, the best way for the, the best way, and a very healthy way to derive those vitamins and minerals are to ensure that the foods that we eat supply them. Some people can say, is it possible for foods to supply all that we need? It is possible. It is possible, but it will indeed have to be diverse array. When I define that definition on nutrition security, and what a nutritious diet is, I emphasized diverse. I mentioned it a few times. Somebody said that for us to really be able to know that the foods we eat, that's like maybe a physical examination, if I can put it that way, that our food contains several or diverse vitamins and minerals. We should make sure that our plate contains, for instance, look at this, our image. We should make sure that our plate has diverse colors, not just two color. So it's possible that we derive vitamins and minerals from natural sources. And where multivitamin intakes or multivitamin supplements are used, the body should not be made to depend on it 100%. Because even if you check the multivitamin supplements that we take, they will put maybe at one side daily value. I've never seen any multivitamin supplement where they put 100% daily value. They may put 10% daily value. What that means is that out of what you need daily, this multivitamin supplement will supply 10%. So the question is, can that 10% carry you? And where are you supposed to get the remaining to complete what you need? I will be going into showing us certain tables that show us daily nutrients intake, what their values are supposed to be. Because like I said, we need to know what we eat, and we need to eat by knowledge, not just by, I like the way it tastes, I like the way it smells, I like the way it looks, but by knowledge. This food I am eating, what does it contain? The issue about food and nutrition security is something that should draw everybody's attention. I'm not going to say majority, everybody's attention, because there are so many things about it. In some cases, there's lack of access, maybe physical access, maybe economic access. In some instances, there is no lack of access, but lack of certain knowledge that has to do with how food is utilized. For instance, how food is prepared. You can prepare your food, you can set your food on your table, and you have succeeded through exposing that food to intense heat. You've succeeded in killing all the nutrients that are in that food. So when we eat by knowledge, I'm still going to show us a slide that shows to us the different methods of cooking and the amount of nutrients that are lost. If you decide to boil your food, or you decide to steam it, or you decide to fry, the amount of nutrients. So we need to eat by knowledge. We need to eat by knowledge. So talking about overnutrition, before I go into, those other things I mentioned, the same way we defined undernutrition, it has to do with macronutrients and micronutrients. For undernutrition, the deficiency of nutrients that are, macronutrients or micronutrients. But here, for overnutrition over the years also have become a burden. That's why they said the double burden of malnutrition. If it is not a burden, they will not call it a burden. So you may not be undernourished, but you may be overnourished. You may have a lot of fats than your body needs. You may be consuming more fats than your body needs. You may be consuming more sugar than your body needs. You may be consuming, for instance, let's say you had some cold symptoms and a medical practitioner placed you on, just boost your immunity. Can you take 1,000 milligram of vitamin C for some days? It is for some days, not every day. So somebody can be so used to that every day he believes that one of the ways that I am protecting myself is to take vitamin C every day. Yes, but there is an amount of vitamin C that should be in our body every day. But it doesn't mean that you will now carry 1,000 milligram and on a daily basis, you are just using it. On a daily. So in such a situation, we can have overnutrition. Overnutrition can take place even through one single nutrient. We saw that when I was talking about undernutrition. The undernutrition can take place when there is one, for instance, somebody may be deficient in iron, and it may be eating every other food. It may not be deficient in protein, may not be deficient in vitamins and all that. Somebody may be taking a lot of vitamins but lack minerals, potassium, all those minerals may be lacking, because there are certain foods that produce them, and if you're not feeding on those foods, maybe those are the foods that you say you don't like. I don't like banana, I don't like this. Then it's not a must you eat everything, but you must be able to know what can supply this. If I don't like this, if they say that banana is high in potassium, but I don't like banana, then is there any other thing that is high in potassium? You must have knowledge of that and you must provide it. So overnutrition is excess intake of both macronutrients and micronutrients. And I have said, a few times that micronutrients has to do with vitamins and minerals, and macronutrients has to do with proteins, fats, carbohydrates and all that. So symptoms connected to overnutrition, we have weight gain, swelling, hair loss, fatigue, joint pain, obesity, increased body fat, menstrual irregularity, mood swing, headache, anxiety, bloating. Then factors that promote overnutrition, sedentary lifestyle. We have a society where majority of the people, particularly youths, they work from home. So it's possible you have a job that keeps you on your seat for 12 hours. You eat, you sit, you work for 12 hours. So somehow that is still related to sedentary lifestyle. Your body is not being exercised in any way. So those are areas that we have to look into. So sedentary lifestyle, hormonal imbalances, things that promote overnutrition, hormonal imbalances, side effects of certain medications can also cause overnutrition, anxiety or depression, high calorie intake, genetics, poor diet quality, chronic stress, overuse of dietary supplements. I mentioned that. Key indicators for both undernutrition and overnutrition. What this means is that we can measure undernutrition or overnutrition through physical examination. Sometimes when you go to see a doctor, the doctor may want to check your eyes, check your nails, to know if you are anemic or not. And then sometimes they can ask you for some laboratory tests, maybe blood tests, urine tests, and different other tests, sputum, different things. Or there may be a medical history. For instance, maybe high sugar level. They can say maybe there's a family history of that. Then we have body mass index. And I'm going to be talking about how we can use body mass index to determine if we are undernourished or overnourished. I said that being undernourished or overnourished is not what you just see with your eye to say that I look good and everybody's saying I look good. They may be saying you look good and you may be having certain certain deficiencies of nutrients that your body needs to survive, or you may be overnourished on certain nutrients. So let's look at how we can use body mass index to measure our level of undernutrition or overnutrition. So body mass index is a widely used indicator of weight status and associated health risk. As outlined by UNICEF, BMI is calculated by dividing an individual's weight in kg by the square of the height in meters, with the result expressed in kg per meter square. So for example, if your height is 1.68 meters, that's like 5.5 feet, and your weight is 70 kg, the square of your weight will be 2.82 meters square. Your BMI would then be calculated as 70 kg divided by 2.82 meters square, resulting in a BMI of 24.8 kilogram per meter square. Now let's see the classifications for adult BMI. For those who are underweight, it means that after calculating their BMI, it will fall below 18.5 kg per meter square. For normal weight, it will be between 18.5 to 24.9 kg per meter square. For those who are overweight, it will be between 25 and 29.9 kilogram per meter square. And those who are obese, it will be above, it will be 30 kilogram per meter square or more. How do we tackle undernutrition and overnutrition? Addressing both undernutrition and overnutrition requires a comprehensive approach that includes consumption patterns that ensure proper nutrition and not reliance on personal research. I encourage everybody to do personal research. We have our phones, our tabs, and everything. From time to time, you can check the amount of potassium in 200-gram banana. They bring it out for you. So have knowledge on everything you eat. You understand? Boiled potato, 200 gram, the content, nutrient content. This will bring it out for you. So oh, so potato has potassium up to this level. Wow. So that's how we know. Of course, I'm still going to show us before I stop, like I said, some tables, charts that show us the recommended nutrient intake. So if I know that my body needs maybe 1,300 milligrams sodium, and everything I have eaten, I have knowledge of it that, this sodium, when I made this food, I added like maybe 2 teaspoons of salt. And then 2 teaspoons of salt is up to maybe 2,300 milligrams. So by knowledge, you just know, you just stop doing things certain ways. You start changing because you have knowledge. Addressing both undernutrition and overnutrition requires a comprehensive approach that includes consumption patterns that ensure proper nutrition and not reliance on personal research and a nutritionist or dietitian guide. Several websites also provide valuable resources on weekly balanced diet plans. Notable options include elios.com. That's my own website. Then we also have verywellfit.com, and we have nutrition.org.uk, among others. Then secondly, understanding the recommended daily nutrient intake based on age and other factors is crucial for achieving optimal nutrition. Essential nutrients include carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, dietary fiber, water. Some people don't take adequate water. So if you don't take adequate water, then that means pertaining to that nutrient, you are undernourished. Omega-3 fatty acids. Some people can be deficient in that. Probiotics. Some people can be deficient in that. To maintain good health, it is important to be aware of these requirements and ensure they are met. So let's see. This is a table for daily carbohydrate requirements for different ages, but I'm just going to touch on one because of time. This is age 31 to 50 years old. This is female. And here we have 280 to 340 grams of carbohydrate. That means if somebody consumes 500 or 600 grams, then the person will end up being overnourished. And that's what leads to overweight, obese, and all that. And it affects both adults and children. So we have to also pay attention on what we give our children, or what they crave for. So that's for that. I can't talk about everything because of time. That's carbohydrates. Then for protein, let's look at the same age, 31 to 50 female. We have 54 to 62 grams of protein that the body needs daily. It should not be less, and it should not be overly higher, than this. Then let's see fats. This is for the same age, 31 to 50 years of age. I will just still look. Okay, let's look at male this time. Male. Then up here you will also see, you will see sex, you will see sedentary, you will see lightly active, moderately active, very active, extremely active. So how active an individual is determines what that person needs. For instance, this is lightly active, and we have 90 to 120 grams per day. But look at very active. Very active for male, we have 110 to 140. So it's not the same. 110 to 140. Extremely active, we have 120 to 150. But lightly active, we have 90 to 120. So you need to also know what kind of lifestyle do you have. Your job, are you actively engaged on a job? or you work from home, you are not that busy. So all this is going to enlighten us on what our body needs per day. So that's that on fats. Then on vitamins, let's look at the same age category, 31 to 50 years of age. Vitamin A, 900 to 1000 UG. Vitamin D, 30 to 35. For the sake of time, let me just touch on maybe one or two. This is vitamin C. Vitamin C, this is vitamin C, and we have 90 to 100, to 100 milligram of vitamin C that the body needs per day. So supplying the body with 1000 milligram, on a daily basis, that's, I don't know, that's very harmful for the body. For B12, vitamin B12, for the same age category, 2.4 to between 2.4 and 2.6 microgram. So let's leave that because of time and go to the next. For minerals, I want to call our attention to sodium intake. I want to call our attention to sodium intake. This is sodium, and let's go to the same age, 31 to 50 years of age, needs 1500 to 2300 milligram. Now, when you convert 1500 to 2300 milligram, it gives you something like 1 teaspoon of salt, because 1 teaspoon of salt is 5 gram, about 5 gram thereabout. In meal is not up to 5, maybe like 3.4 mil. And for people that bake a lot, or people that use measuring cups and spoons, you will now say, what? They said daily, they did not say per meal. It means when your food on a daily basis, you 2 spoons, 2 teaspoons, another meal, 3 teaspoons. What you're interested in is, let this meal be sweet. You are not asking the question that how much sodium is in this meal, and how many meals in a day do I take that I have to use salt. So that's that. So we need to keep all this. And then I think lastly, probiotics. Many people are not familiar with this. We find sources like yogurt, a few other things that are fermented in nature, supply this. It helps digestion process. For healthy adults, we have 100 to 500 mg daily required. A lot of people have issue with indigestion and all that, constipation. I'm not a medical professional, but I try to study a lot around food and nutrition. So that's why I come about most of these things. And then I want to wrap up with our recommendations for today. But before that, for instance, let's take a look at nutrient content of all grains and fruits. This is wheat now. Wheat has bran, has germ, has endosperm. Most of the flour we used to bake, they've removed the bran, they've removed let me read this for us. Highly processed grains are low in nutritional quality. For instance, refining wheat strips away more than half of wheat's B vitamins, 90% of its vitamin E, and almost all its fiber. When it is chemically modified, because some people will say they've added vitamin A, they've added this to it. They say when it is chemically modified, some health promoting components like phytochemicals cannot be replaced. Cannot be replaced. So we need to encourage ourselves to take all grains, and all fruits. So let's see this table. Let's see this table. Nutrient content of all grains and fruits. I brought here for red beans, 500 gram of red beans. For the micronutrients, you see the amount of protein that is in them, the amount of carbohydrate that is in them. These are the vitamins in red beans. Vitamin B6, 0.5 mg. For the sake of time, I may not be able to touch everything, but it's important I show you a few. Minerals in 500 gram red beans. Potassium, 2500 mg. Magnesium, iron, zinc, things that are present. Then this is sweet potato, 500 mg, like that. Vitamins, a lot of vitamins in them, a lot of minerals, potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, and all that. Let's come to banana, 500 gram banana. the amount of macronutrients in it. We have energy, protein, fats, carbohydrate. The fat is very low. Fiber, 6 grams. Vitamin C, 48 mg. And all that. Minerals, potassium, magnesium, Then lastly, okay, second to the last, red apples, 500 grams. 500-gram apples may be like 3 medium-sized apples. It has a lot of macronutrients, protein, fat. The amount determines what we find here. So if you consume more, you find more nutrients in them. Minerals, we have potassium. That's in red apple. We have potassium, 350 mg, phosphorus, magnesium, calcium, So, like I said, the secret to healthy eating or nutritious eating is have diverse array of foods, vegetables, fruits, all grains and all that. For lemons, 212 grams or 250 ml juice of lemon. We have a lot of macronutrient, protein, carbohydrate, 15.87. We have a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals, potassium, calcium, magnesium. Then we have other nutrients like antioxidants, so many things. So I'm already trying to wrap up. Wow. I'll wrap up in a minute. Let's see recommendations for today's study before we leave. To be able to ensure that we have good nutrition, one, we need adequate fruits and vegetable consumption, which should be at least 400 grams. 400 grams. Then for our fat intake, we need to reduce fat intake to less than 30% of total energy to prevent unhealthy weight gain. Choose healthier cooking methods such as steaming or boiling instead of frying. Replace butter and processed fats with polyunsaturated fats like soybean, canola, corn, sunflower oil. Reduce consumption of fatty dairy products, lean meats, and food containing industrially processed trans fats. Number 3, reduce salt intake to less than 5 grams. That's 3.94 ml per day. That's less than 1 teaspoon. And if you do this, it could prevent 1.7 million deaths annually. So this is, a sign of overnutrition that can lead to 1.7 million deaths annually. Achieve this by cutting down on processed foods and increasing potassium intake through fresh fruits and vegetables. Number 4, free sugar intake should be limited to less than 10%. All these recommendations, like most of them are from WHO. I added the last two. Sugar intake, free sugar intake should be limited to less than 10% of total energy consumption in both adults and children. So sometimes parents feel that their children, they will burn it. They say we should reduce it even in our children also to reduce the risk of unhealthy weight gain and cardiovascular diseases. Incorporate more fresh fruits and raw vegetables into your diet. Then home cooking. For certain raw foods, cooking is required, but cooking as an art is gradually fading away in homes and being replaced with fast foods due to pressures of time, among other factors. This is hazardous to health on the long run because people lose control over their food content. To improve household health, where possible, all members should learn and engage in the art of cooking. This can help to bridge the gap that exists when a particular individual is absent. And lastly, healthy food processing methods. Nutrient loss varies across. I made reference to this. Let's look at boiling. When you boil it, 40 to 60% of nutrients are lost. When you fry the food, 30 to 50% of the nutrients are lost. When you steam it, 20 to 40. I'm so sorry. We had a little network, but I'm wrapping up in 30 seconds. I'm on the last recommendation. I'm wrapping up in 10 seconds. I'm so sorry for taking the time. So I was calling our attention to all these different methods of food processing, the boiling, frying, steaming, grilling, microwaving. In microwaving, 10 to 20% nutrients are lost. Therefore, the choice of a method that retains most of the nutrients in food is required for good health. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much, Mrs. Lara Akerele, for bringing me on board. Over to you.